Just going round to give my mum a hand getting some stuff above her new garage. So anyway, morning everybody. Hope you're all doing well. This ladder, brilliant bit of kit. Got it from Maplin's before they closed. I love Maplin's. It was a great shop. So my brother has now got Starlink. So awesome. It's an absolute game changer. So he's got a van and he kind of works from that around the country, so it makes perfect sense having Starlink for him. So there used to be an Ethernet port on the back of these, but they've taken that away. This is actually the roaming version my brother's got. Very tidy bit of kit. Yeah, no Ethernet port unfortunately. I think there's a cable you can get that gives you an Ethernet port back somehow. I think there is a way to do it, some accessory, but just can't believe it. It's just, it blows my mind. I did a speed test the other day. I got 125 megabits down and on one go, and 150 the other, and 12 megabits up. So it's just, there are no words. Because my mum unfortunately does not have proper internet yet, because Openreach need to dig across the road in order to lay the last 10 feet of cable, and because they haven't done that, she's stuck using mobile broadband, which is quite honestly torturous, absolutely appalling. Yeah, wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Well, my brother's here, we've got the sort of the internet dream. There you go, look at that. It's not perfect, but one of the nice things about Starlink is the infrastructure in space is continually being expanded, so it does continually improve. And the fact that this is something that my brother can use at the top of a mountain, it is game changing. It really is. For people with a van, it's an absolute no-brainer. I can't understand why anyone who's got a van or a caravan or anything like that could possibly live without Starlink. And to be honest, I kind of wish my mum had used Starlink, you know, just for her own house internet, because then she'd have proper internet like right now. Admittedly, it would be like twice as expensive, but can't have everything. It's a cool space she's got up here. This is above her garage. It's really useful. Unfortunately, because the ceiling's quite low up here, I'm constantly lifting with my back bent, which is not the one. Really handy space my mum's got above the garage. So yeah, Starlink. I can't express in words how, you know, how incredible a piece of technology it is. It's just a capability that just did not exist before SpaceX started, you know, launching those satellites. It's basically, you know, it's 100% the product of reusable rockets, honestly, because in order for it to work well, you need the satellites to be low, and the lower the satellites are, the more of them you need. So you've got to be able to launch cheaply and regularly. And actually, it's not just the cheapness. You can make a really cheap rocket, but if you have to build a whole new rocket every time, you know, your production line quickly can't keep up with demand. That's one of the main advantages that SpaceX has got with reusability, is if somebody wants a launch, they only have to make the second stage. The first stage is, you know, clean it, inspect it, rework what needs reworking, and stick it with fuel and off you go. I mean, I'm sure it's very much more complicated than that, but it is very much simpler than just having to build a whole new first stage, you know, and get all the materials in for that. You know, clearly it is making the difference with SpaceX, because they launched the most tonnage to orbit of anyone. Right, I'm off to get V now. Hey, Albie. One thing that was quite interesting was my brother said that, so basically he ordered Starlink and it turned up 2 days later, which is pretty astounding. You know, certainly that's a lot better than my mum's experience with BT. And the other thing was that it was very easy and quick to set up. You know, he was really blown away by the sort of the ease and the focus on, you know, the end user experience. It's quite Apple-like actually in a lot of ways, as many of Elon's products actually seem to be. Yeah, I was very interested to hear about his experiences. He's not the most techie bloke in the world, so you know, he wouldn't have wanted something that was going to be complicated and difficult to do, and this certainly was not. I was just looking online at the cost of Starlink. I am very taken with the idea of that, I really am. Yeah, very taken with it. So I'm going to look into that properly before I sign up to any other internet, because V, who's also here,
hi.
she's got internet that she doesn't need at her flat, or won't need in a few months' time. So, you know, and if we do need internet here, we can use Starlink. I mean, that's the great thing. And then obviously at my house or wherever else we go. So yeah, I just need to I need to look into it, and then we'll see. But so far, from my testing of my brother's one, I think it seems to be a very good connection, a better connection than we will get using the local network at this house, which is, it's not fiber to the property. Although they are talking about putting fiber to the property in, but you know, if you want to use a service like that, it costs money, and half the time it's like, so V's got fiber to the property at her flat here, and it's like £89 a month. Well, the roaming Starlink is only £85 a month. So you see where I'm going with this, right? I'm just gonna head round to my mum's again in a sec and see if my brother's still there with his Starlink, because I've thought of a way to bridge using a Wi-Fi extender between the sort of home Google network and Starlink without needing to buy any extra cables or anything, which, you know, save a bit of money where we can. So I just need to nip round there and find out if he's still about. There we go. Look at that. Wi-Fi extender with an Ethernet port. Got to work out how to connect to it now is the only slight problem. I mean, haven't used it in a long time. That was actually an unsuccessful test, partly because I had to use my old laptop that has an Ethernet port to get into the Wi-Fi extender so that I could actually change the settings, and then when I did that I realized I couldn't actually connect up with the Starlink anyway, because the Starlink Wi-Fi point is being blocked by that ginormous 4x4. Yeah, 2.5 tons of solid metal. It's gonna block Wi-Fi signal quite effectively. So yeah, I will probably just come back maybe another day and see if I can get it going. But the idea is to use a Wi-Fi extender to take the internet from the Starlink and then via Ethernet send that into the into the mesh network, the Google mesh network that everything in the house is connected to anyway. And then when we have the Starlink, because I'm going to get a roaming one if I get one, I can then just connect it up to the house and run the house on it. And then when we go to V's flat, and connect it up there and run V's flat on it. And you know, it sort of hopefully will be a pretty flexible and highly mobile, good quality internet connection, which quite honestly sounds amazing. So yeah, that is my plan, I think. But we will see. You have to follow this channel if you want to follow the story of the Starlink and everything else actually. There's loads of fun, interesting stuff coming in the near future. Right, well, I hope you've all enjoyed today's vlog post. If you have, remember to leave a like and share it and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you like. The link's in the description. I want to say a massive thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you all in the next episode of my vlog. Bye.